Hi everyone, welcome inside the circle. I'm joined by your MPO champion at the Memorial, Calvin Heimberg. Calvin, how does it feel to win this event for your first time?
Yeah, it feels awesome. I mean, this is my second time out here. Last year was my first time, and yeah, it always feels great to get a win, especially early in the season. You just feel like you've accomplished something, and hope to ride the momentum throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, last year you also won the first event of the year in Vegas.
Yeah.
And this year you won the first Pro Tour of the year.
Yeah.
What is it about your off-season training that just has you ready to go for these big events?
I mean, whatever. In 2019, I definitely put in a lot of work. There was just a lot of tournaments and a lot of grinding, a lot of disc golf to, kind of increase the amount of skills I had, and that kind of paid off. But this past off season, I didn't get to play as much. I had a lingering back injury that I was recovering from, so I didn't really actually start playing until like a week and a half before Vegas. So this past off season was pretty uneventful and not a whole lot of disc golf, but it seemed to have worked.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it left you fresh and ready to go for this event?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could see there was some things that were rusty, like out at Vegas, and there's stuff I noticed that wasn't quite right even practicing for this event, but when it came to the tournament time, everything just seemed to click, so.
Yeah. I want to talk about some big pivotal moments in the round, especially near the end there.
Yeah.
On hole 13, Eagle has a putt maybe 45 feet staring at the water and chooses to lay that up. What was going through your mind? He was one back at the time, so that could have been a big moment for him.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind when he lays that up?
I mean, off the tee, I thought I was shorter than I ended up being. I kind of threw it a little lower than I had wanted to, but it got a lot of ground action and got me up to maybe 25. So when I saw that, I wasn't even really thinking about what Eagle was doing. I knew I was going to run the putt at that point because you can't lay up a 25-footer. But yeah, when he laid up, I knew that was big for me because I was pretty confident I was going to make the putt. So, it was a big swing for me to go up by 2 and gave me a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, and I mean, you needed that breathing room because I think a few holes later, Eagle hits a circle's edge-ish putt, and you missed one from probably 20 feet.
Yeah, I was a shorty. It was 20, 25 feet, somewhere there. But
was that just nerves? Did Eagle big much you, or what happened there?
I didn't really feel nervous. There was nothing different about that putt than anything else I'd been feeling. It just didn't come out of my hand quite right. Didn't really follow through. So yeah, it just came out low and hit the cage.
Yeah, I mean, and so then ultimately that led to us having a one-stroke differential when we got to 18. Really exciting with the triple Mando because now Eagle is kind of forced into going for it.
Yeah.
Kind of walk us through your emotions as you watch Eagle kind of step up to the tee pad and line up his throw. What are you feeling?
I mean, yeah, I'm watching him pretty intently. I know he has to go for it. My play there at that point is I'm laying up no matter what. So, if he birdies, I mean, we push to a playoff, hopefully. But that probably wouldn't have even happened today because I threw an awful layup. I threw it right next to the Mando and had to lay up again to lay up. But yeah, I mean, I knew I was laying up, but yeah, when he missed it, I knew it was pretty much over at that point.
So that's interesting. So even if he had gone for it, parked it, put it to 5 feet, you're still laying up in that situation?
Yeah, because in my mind, worst case scenario is I have the putt he had for 3, and I would rather have. I mean, there's an easy chance that I lay up better and pitch through. So there's in my mind laying up, I'm most likely going to push to a playoff in worst case scenario. But yeah, that didn't have to happen today.
Yeah, I mean, it's really fun watching you because you always seem so calm, even keeled. Are you feeling the butterflies in your stomach? Is your heart pounding the same as the rest of us normal people?
Sometimes. I don't know. It doesn't. Probably not at the times you might think. Just sometimes it's weird timing. But yeah, today I really didn't feel nerves at all. I felt good coming into the round. Didn't really start quite the way I wanted to. Missed a circle 1 putt on hole 2 and just kind of struggled there at the beginning. But once I made a big putt on hole 5, everything just started clicking and everything seemed easy.
Yeah, especially. I noticed it was really cool. Madison Walker and Zach Melton, 2 of your good friends, they joined you about halfway through the round.
Yeah.
What was it like having those 2 close friends of yours walking with you the whole time?
Yeah, it's awesome having them. They come and support me often, and it's just nice. It's calming, and it's nice to have familiar faces, people you can joke around with things are a little tense.
Yeah, for sure. I noticed Zach gave you a banana, I want to say.
Yeah, they were feeding me during around both of them. But yeah, I got a banana somewhere around like hole 7 or 8, and like a fruit leather thing a couple holes later. So
Was it good, like solid banana? Was it a mushy
no,
banana?
it was not. It wasn't a good banana.
Yeah.
It was warm and overripe. Not ideal, but I needed the snack, so it was still good to eat.
Yeah, absolutely. Calvin, I mean, you were throwing some incredible shots out there today, and somewhere they're in the air long enough that you can walk away, like MJ style. What does it feel like? Like, because not a lot of us get to experience that feeling of unleashing a 600-foot perfect laser drive. What does that feel like?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, for a lot of us who can throw that far, it's like once it's a certain point in its flight, we know exactly where it's going to finish. So like a lot of those shots that are going far, as soon as like they start turning, then I feel like I did what I was trying to do, and I know it's going to hold and then hopefully fade at the end. So you don't necessarily need to watch it finish. But yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's nice to just be throwing good shots and then watching them do exactly what you picture.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was really funny after the round. I forget who exactly asked you this, but I think it was Zach. But he comes up to you and he's like, "Calvin, how excited are you?" And you were like, "Stoked." And you just said it like really like low key.
Yeah.
How much does this mean to you? This has got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. This is my first Pro Tour win, so I mean, this is up there with, the NT wins as well. So they're about the same caliber. I would put them on the same level. So yeah, it's awesome to win a big event. I mean, there's so many good players now. You literally have to come out with your best game if you want a chance at winning week in, week out.
Yeah. And I mean, what's next for you? I know we got Waco, but there's a Florida stretch that kind of might make more sense for you as a Florida local.
Yeah, I'm for sure playing Throwdown the Mountain and Tallahassee Open. In the middle of that, there's Texas States, which I will also be playing. Waco is uncertain right now whether or not I'm going to make it out there, but for sure I'll be at Throwdown the Mountain, Texas States, and Tallahassee Open before the rest of the normal tour.
Awesome. Any last things to say to all your friends out there?
Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks everyone back home for all the support and all the messages. It's encouraging. It's nice to have. And also shout out to my sponsors, Innova, Millennium, and Grip.
Awesome. Calvin Heimberg, MPO champion at the Memorial. Dude, so awesome to watch you play.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, welcome back inside the circle. I'm joined once again, Tour Director Jeff Spring. Young Vinny, man, what a thrower of the Frisbee. It's so fun to watch him chuck those discs.
There's some pretty special shots out there today. It was fun to watch, and it was exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like watching Vinny and Eagle is like, that's a battle we're so lucky that we're going to have that for like the next decade, right?
That's right, yeah. I mean, they can just absolutely launch discs. Their frames are similar, they're tall, they've got long arms, and they can do some special stuff out there on the course. And they're both getting seasoned. I think at the Hall of Fame Classic last year, end of the national tour, we saw Vinny battling with another, tall. I don't know if the frame is just kind of, as more people play disc golf, we're going to see taller, longer wingspan, just being able to, kind of find those levers and that power. But Adam Hammes was battling Vinny, and now it's Eagle and Simon have been battling. So, it is that nice, fresh, young crop of talent that's really exciting to see where that's going.
Yeah. It's just, I'm so stoked about the future of the game because, we have some luminaries getting into that 30, like early 30s age, Sexton and McBath, Wysocki's kind of getting to that area.
Sure.
And it's so great to see these young guns coming up, and it's like disc golf's not going to lack for talent anytime soon, which is really exciting.
It's not, and it kind of brings up what is the prime. I don't know what the prime of disc golf is. Working a lot with Nate, who's the color commentary of our live show, Nate Doss. He's my age. He's 34, and when he left to start Bevel, he was 32. And I told him, why are you leaving in the prime of your career? He's like, nah, man, I'm washed up. And I was thinking about traditional golf. the prime is usually 30 to 40.
Yeah.
It seems younger in disc golf to me. I mean, it's maybe a little bit more of an explosive movement.
Absolutely, yeah.
But, you know, it still has that gamesmanship and savvy vets that are able to kind of use game management and course management to score. So, you know, it's an exciting young crop, and, you know, we may see, you know, people stepping into our Runner World Championships similar to what we saw Paul and Ricky. And I think big storyline coming out of here is, are Paul and Ricky going to be 1-2 at the end of this year? You know, or are we going to start seeing, you know, changing the guard in terms of who people think are like the power rankings number 1 and 2?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It's all really exciting. Something we're really excited to keep track of throughout the year. On the FPO side, Paige Pierce. Speaking of someone she's in her late 20s, or she's getting to be. Putting on a performance for the ages, really. Literally a historic performance, one of the best of all time yesterday. And today, following it up with another solid round. She didn't have to do much, but ended up at over 30 under par. 32 under par, which was, I think, double the lowest score before that.
Jen Allen was at 18, so she beat her by 14 strokes.
I'm saying in previous years, the lowest score ever at the Memorial, I think, is like minus 15. Jen Allen and Paige Pierce both.
And Henna was 17 down. So I mean, low scores, but Paige's score was ridiculous. Like everybody else would have been in that range you talk about, but for Paige to go 32. Man, some of the ratings, I think she would have been in the top 20 in the men's field this week, maybe the top 10.
Oh, absolutely. I was talking to Greg Barsby, and he actually said, man, I wish Paige was out there so that I could have just watched her kick my butt all day. Speaking of Paige, Terry Miller, disc golf guy, he spoke with her after she finished up her round. Let's kick it to that interview right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We're on the green of hole 18, Terry Miller, alongside our champion in Paige Pierce. Paige, every year I feel like we talk about this, but we have no idea. How many times have you won this?
I think 5, but it could be 6. This was I know for sure that this was my first national tour win ever in 2011. My first sponsored tournament by Discraft or big win by Discraft, and here I am full circle. My first big win of 2020 wearing Discraft again, so I'm very excited about it.
Just an incredible performance. You're clear of second place by 15, third place by 16 or something like that, and like 20 some strokes clear of fourth place. What kind of message are you trying to send to the FPO division this weekend?
Oh, it's not necessarily about a message to somebody else. It's more just, I'm trying to get better every day, and I think, the message is, keep going, because I still missed putts, I still went OB, and, I think that there's room for improvement in all of us, and so just keep pushing the boundary, and I don't know.
Yesterday you were bogey-free. Today it wasn't until late in the round did you find your first bogey, and then you struggled a little bit on 16, but how good does your game feel to you right now?
It feels really good. I feel very confident with my discs and the way that my body is working. I feel like my timing's really, really good, and I just feel very confident with my discs. So there's not much more I could ask for. And like you said, I didn't get a card a bogey at Vista at all until
13?
Almost 40 holes in. So I was. Or 30 holes in. So I was trying to go bogey free at Vista, but got a little too excited on that tee back there.
You played very well out here. We're going to see you in 2 weeks at Waco at the next Disc Golf Pro Tour event. Now, the Disc Golf Pro Tour took on a new format to have the women teeing after the men. You talked about it a little bit yesterday. We had more than 5,000 people watching today, which you would normally think is a record-breaking day, but I think this is just the beginning. What are your thoughts about the new format?
Yeah, I think it's awesome, and like you said, it is the beginning. This was the trial and the first look at it for everyone. So once they see how big of a success this was, I think it's going to continue to grow, and I'm excited for the future. The only thing is it makes me sad as a fan of disc golf that I couldn't watch the guys finish out, but I was looking at UDisc on my phone.
One way or another, we're going to keep you updated. You have so many friends and family and fans out there, including your dad, who I'm sure is watching. Anything you want to say to everybody?
Yeah, Dad, I hope you didn't fall asleep today while you were watching. Thank you guys so much for the support. All the messages last night was unbelievable, and I just truly am so happy, and I'm ready to keep going.
All right, well, this is Paige Pierce. So many wins, she can't keep them all straight out here at the Memorial. It's been a tremendous week. Thank you guys for joining us from all around the world. We got to thank the Disc Golf Pro Tour and all of the supporters. Of course, our presenting sponsor in Discraft. And guess what? We'll see you guys in just a couple weeks in Waco. Back to you guys in the booth.
All right, Jeff, so we just heard Terry with Paige. Kind of what's your impression of Paige winning this event in such dominating fashion?
You know, she's won other events in dominating fashion the past few years. What it tells me is that she's on her game going into the season, and it makes me wonder whether or not this will be one of those historic seasons. She's kind of gone back and forth with world championships. I don't know if she's ever won 2 in a row. She won last year. It was her 5th. Will she tack on her 6th and her first back-to-back? Is a big question on my mind. If she does, are we looking at a season like 2015 with Paul McBeth, where he won 5 majors, one of the only years in recent history where there's been 5 majors, but he also set, like ratings records and such. We're also watching her, on a march to 1,000 rated, which would be the first female in history. I think she's already the highest rated female in history.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So will she get to 1,000 rated, which is kind of that mark of like the best pros in the world, like the touring men, if you're like 1,000 rated, you should go on tour. Well, and even like we see people touring now that are 970 to 1,000.
Yeah.
So it's just, I guess it's interesting to compare and talk about her dominance versus the MPO fields. It's also interesting to think about how she might compete in the USDGC at the end of the year. I know she's tried to make that happen in the past, and she has competed in the past, but she's wanted to be up like in that top 20 in that caching.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of marks that you look out at the landscape of the year and you think, where will this go? And a performance like this really sets the stage to think big.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was actually, I found it so interesting and so exciting that like Hannah and Evelina I think they're both under 20 years old, and they're right there next to Paige watching her as she's doing this, and you can just see the look in their eyes when they watch her do these incredible things that they're like, that's me next. You can tell how much it fires them up. And I remember during the press conference that we had, I asked Evelina who's going to win the World Championships this year, and I think she kind of gets a little bit of the braggadociousness from Paige. She's just like, I'm winning Worlds this year, and that Paige would say the same thing. Like it's cool to see all these ladies kind of learning from her, all the young guns in the game. So
yeah, absolutely. Just like the men's side, there are very, very many females that are coming up and starting to make a name for themselves. We saw Haley King up on the lead card this week. You mentioned Hannah and Evelina. Interesting that they're both Finns, and that's a question that we're starting to hear more asked more often, which is, when is the European wave coming where they're going to start winning and dominating American events, but when the Americans go over in the top talent, when are they going to start defending their home turf? It's going to be interesting to see. I know Hannah and Evelina are going to be here for a few more events. Head back over. They're back over for hopefully SFO Worlds. We're trying to convince them to come to Portland as well. But they're not full-time tourists because they are. I think they're
visa limits and
stuff.
They
have visa limits, and I think they're both under. Well, I don't know how old Evelina is, but Hannah's 17, I think. So she's not even 18 years old. So. But Haley's here, and she's doing some great things too. One thing I noticed is they've got power. Evelina, Hannah blew me up. This is the first time I saw Hannah play live, and her swing is just pure power.
It's just
very
so
clean, very smooth, and extremely powerful. And it was very interesting to see because I juxtaposed to the men. I saw Eagle and Calvin swing against Paul's today, and it just I almost started thinking, wow, these guys are getting there.
Exactly.
They're there. And when I was watching Evelina and Hannah versus Paige, it was the same type of feeling. Like these two younger competitors who are really looking for that win to make their name, and their swings there and the game's there to support it.
Speaking of some other Finns, really high up there on the leaderboard, Oskari Wikström, a young kid from Finland. This is the first time I think Americans really have gotten the chance to watch him. He's another one of these like 20-somethings that look like they've been playing their whole life since they were 2. And he's just got a beautiful, powerful shot. Vinyl Makula finishing in 4th, another big performance out of a Finn. It's really exciting to see on our tour, them coming over here. The Finland surge is maybe real, and they're all young.
And I know Ascari is supposedly a crush boy in training.
Yeah.
Signed to Discmania, and it seems like UC's always good at picking those exciting, powerful throwers of the disc. So both men and women's side, the Finnish invasion may be on. It's going to be exciting to see at some of the bigger events down the line, not just here, other pro tours, other national tours, and of course Worlds this year being in Utah. I'm sure there'll be a lot of European presence.
Yeah, for sure. I want to really quickly touch on the battle for second place in FPO. It got kind of overshadowed a little bit by how dominant Paige was, but it was really exciting down the stretch. Hannah Blomroos on 17, probably not even 25 feet, shorts a putt, rolls out of bounds, and then she made the comebacker to save her 4. Jen Allen taps in for 2, and that's a 2-stroke swing. Jen Allen then leads by 1 going into the final hole, and she's able to lay up and kind of secure second. Hang on for second. I mean, that's a really exciting finish right down at the stretch there.
Yeah.
Do you think Hannah's youth and inexperience had anything to do with it?
I wouldn't say that for sure. 17's a really tricky basket. It's on a steep slope.
Elevated.
And it's elevated. Yeah, very, very elevated actually. And I saw it get a couple people, so, I wouldn't chalk that up to youth and inexperience. She held on. She was right there. She had her nerves in check. So I would just say it's a tough one. And, you see those two-stroke swings down the stretch, and I think that it was also part of the battle that kept people watching too on Disc Golf Network because they held, I think, from 9,000 concurrent viewers for a while, and then it started trickling down, but it never really got much below 5,500 viewers, and that's great viewership for the FPO field, and we were happy with a lot of those results.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the Disc Golf Network, first weekend for our live broadcast, kind of switching to a new format, switching to the FPO going later in the day. What was the impression you got from those players about how they felt about getting up later and getting to sleep in a little bit?
Yeah, I think like any change, there's getting used to it, a little bit of growing pains, but overall, I had an overwhelming positive feedback from the FPO players. I think that from the MPO players, they thought it was just as good as ever. There wasn't a huge shift for them. It was about an hour to an hour and a half difference. And I think it was nice to see them hanging around, supporting, watching, being there. They, a lot of the players like going back and watching the other divisions. That, one of the complaints was, I can't support my friends and people, both ways, the MPO can't go back and watch the full FPO, the FPO can't watch the full MPO, and in fact the FPO can't really watch much of the MPO at all because they're warming up. But to have the support on site, online, of the FPO be tripled mostly, that's what it seemed like, triple the amount of people on site watching, triple the amount of people online watching. I think it's overall, you can't take away the positives there. There's a couple little things, but I think it was overall a win, and we're really excited about it, and we're going to keep listening to feedback, keep tweaking it, and we're really excited to hopefully see this translate into more women's players, bigger women's purses, and the women's purse was great this week.
Yeah, putting a bigger spotlight on the women's game, hopefully to get more women just like seeing disc golf, right?
Sure.
You can't be what you can't see, right?
Right, so, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So the first event of the Pro Tour season, we're heading to Waco next. Vinny may or may not be there. We talked to him in the first block.
Yeah, he's registered, but
yeah, depending on how logistics work out. Who are your favorites heading into that event?
Well, I think one of the things I'm excited about is seeing how the Disc Golf Network transitions to the subscriber paywall. We had over 13,000 concurrent viewers on YouTube. How many of them will translate over? In terms of competition, the folks that have done well are Emerson Keith. We've seen great performances from Nate Parkins and they're Texas-based players. Germ is from North Carolina, but he's also done well there, and he has a great connection to the team, Ryan Draper, the TD, and his staff. So I expect those names from the past to be in the mix. I would expect Paul to win the event. If I had money, I'd put it on Paul. I mean, that's a pretty easy pick. But seeing his last 2 rounds here, I know he's not happy with it, and he probably wants to come back and put a stamp on the season pretty quickly here. He doesn't have a long season planned, and I think if he starts, getting off to a slower start, slower start. He was third in this event. But then you start looking at, hey, is this season actually going to be shortened? And will this become kind of a lost season for him? You know, like it's probably too early to start that narrative. But if he doesn't get a win early, you know, all of a sudden it's August and he's done.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, I would expect Paul to focus in and win Waco.
On the FPO side of Waco, if you're not picking Paige Pierce to win that thing, like you're just
Sure.
you're being purposefully like controversial.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, you know, Paige is going to be the overwhelming favorite. You know, we talked about Ricky and Paul. It looks like Ricky's struggling a little with an injury or, you know, flare up, as he mentioned in a podcast with Terry. I hope that he's feeling good. I know that he's very dedicated and he's been training and he really wants to have a bigger impact. So on the FPO side, Kat, you know, she's been throwing the disc wonderfully, and a lot of people say that she's the best thrower in the game. Her putt had a lot of issues this week. You know, I don't know what's going on in terms of translating her practice to the in-event putting, but there's a disconnect there. And you know, I think that we're hopeful as fans of the game that she can figure that out, because she's going to be right up there at every single event if she can putt. I mean, she won Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So you know, let's see how that storyline goes. But you know, I'd love to see, you know, some of the younger folks, you know, break out as well at Waco. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff Spring, our first event of the year in the books.
Yeah.
Super stoked. Thank you guys for watching Inside the Circle, and we'll see you next time.